I'm going to share with you, ladies, some books that I highly recommend all of you read. And I am requesting that in the comments field you all would share with me and the other viewers and listeners of this video books that you think will be beneficial for women of African descent. The first book that I'm going to recommend and suggest that all of you read is called One Day My Soul Just Opened Up by Iyanla Vanzant. It's a therapeutic and spiritually interactive book, and I found it was very effective in helping me to feel spiritually renewed and spiritually rejuvenated. This book has exercises in it. It's highly interactive. It is, for the most part, non-denominational, and sometimes to me it seemed a little a-religious. But since we're all spiritual beings, we should be able to use it and benefit from it, and it doesn't matter if we are Baptist, Catholic, Jehovah's Witness, or even atheist. I found that it was beneficial for me, and some friends that I recommended it to who are not Catholic also really liked it. Sandra Kitt wrote a book called The Rites of Spring. It is virtually impossible to find that book now. I Googled it, and I can only come up with suggestions for subsequent books that she's written. One is called The Color of Love. I've also read it. It's an excellent read. But if you all can find The Rites of Spring, which I hope you can, and get a copy of it, read it. It is the best Harlequin romance novel I have ever read. There was a phase that I went through when I was reading Harlequin romance novels, Silhouette romance novels, and Zebra romance novels, and I must have put away about 500 or 600 of those books. I tell you the truth, out of all of the romance novels I've ever read, The Rites of Spring by Sandra Kitt was absolutely the best one. The third book I'm going to recommend is called Their Eyes Were Watching God. I read somewhere a long time ago that this was Alice Walker's favorite book, and I want you all to read it so you can see why. The fourth book is called The Collected Poetry of Nikki Giovanni. Her poetry speaks for itself. Number 5 on the books that I recommend, it's called Jane Eyre. Now, there is a movie out there. There are several movies of this out there. I think Masterpiece Theater did a very good version of this book. But I'm suggesting that you all read the book. You don't have to skip the movie, but read the book as well. It's one of my favorite books. Now, at times, the story does seem to drag a little bit, but this author's use of language and her wit and the way she uses satire, oh, it was so brilliant. I just love reading it. It was well worth the time. I suggest that every African American person has a book with a collection of essays by James Baldwin. Make sure that when you do buy a collection of his essays and short stories, that it contains The Native Son in it. I think that's my favorite read of his. Jamaica Kincaid. I especially love Jamaica Kincaid because she was married to a Hebrew king. They were a power couple, I think, in New York for a while there. I don't think they're together any longer, but that's neither here nor there. She wrote a book called Lucy, and I thought that Lucy was a charming little read. Now, I don't think that the critics recommend Lucy as her very best work, but it's the only book of hers that I've read, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. If you all have read some other books by her that you liked, please share them with me, recommend them, and I will be more than glad to go out there and read them. But get Lucy, you'll like it. PBS did a documentary called Eyes on the Prize. I think most of us have watched it, but I suggest that everybody have a copy of that in book form. Flowers in the Attic. V.C. Andrews wrote 4 novels: Flowers in the Attic, Petals on the Wind, If There Be Thorns, and Seeds of Yesterday. I read all 4 of them. I suggest that you all read Flowers in the Attic, and after you read Flowers in the Attic, you won't be able to stop yourself from reading the sequels. Very good book. The movie that they made out of that book years later was crap, but the books are excellent. The autobiography of Malcolm X. I think every black person needs to have a copy of it and read it and share it with another black person. When I first read that book, I was just amazed because he had his pulse on my feelings and sentiments with regards to so many issues that were plaguing the black community. I love that book. The Color Purple. We've all seen the movie, but I think everybody needs to have the book because Steven Spielberg, I think, did an excellent job with the movie. However, for the sake of time, he had to leave a lot of the book out. And I like to explore and read about and critique the dynamic between Celie and Mr. Sisters. I think that all black women can benefit from that storyline. So get the book. The Coldest Winter Ever by Sister Souljah. If you haven't read it, it's worth the time. Coffee Will Make You Black. I read that book in a day, and it was worth the time as well. It was a cute little book. I'm also, as an afterthought, going to recommend that you ladies read Is Bill Cosby Right? And Why I Love Black Women by Dr. Dyson.